The importance of direct observation. That is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. One of the things I am really fond of or really try to imbue within my teaching with everyone who practices with me is to really help people to have their own experience of the different concepts and things that we work with, the different principles of Qigong. So, at the most simple level, that is to become aware of your own energy, to really feel it, really experience it, not just have it as, some idea. Going further than that, things like actually becoming aware of your own meridians, being able to feel them, feel the flow of energy within them. Some of this is quite subtle. Depends on where we're at. Sometimes we can develop this quite quickly in some contexts. Other parts of it might take a bit of time, bit of practice. But to be able to have that direct awareness and sense of your meridians, rather than it just be, it's a theoretical thing, it's a line someone drew on a piece of paper. To actually be able to, really experience that, understand that for yourself. Things like your energy field, to actually be able to sense your own field of energy around you, rather than just be, some idea in your mind. And again, some people will be able to have this direct experience of these aspects of their energy very quickly, very easily. Others, it'll take some work, and that's natural. Sometimes people get a little bit concerned that, oh man, this is like, I'm doing all these practices and I haven't really felt or experienced this yet. Particularly sometimes when I'm running courses, and there's a whole lot of people on the course, and we're having Q&A sessions regularly, where people are asking questions. We're also just discussing people's experiences, and some people are talking about an experience feeling this or noticing that and so on, and other people aren't noticing that yet. And so sometimes people can get quite concerned. It's like, oh, is there something wrong? I'm not experiencing the same things other people are. And, I always reassure them, no, it's absolutely fine. People are at different paces, different places in their own personal journey. And some things will come very easily, very quickly for one person, and for another person it will take longer. But at the same time, some other things might come more quickly for that person, and for another person it may take longer, and that's absolutely fine. It's certainly not healthy to force our journey, force our progress. We just need to let it unfold by being consistent, being persistent, and pointing our attention, our awareness in the right direction. And so that we are in a position to observe, but we don't want to try to fool ourselves into thinking that we've experienced something that we haven't, because that's not going to help us. That's just going to distort our understanding and actually stand in the way of us understanding things properly. So and I was going to say, but it does generally come, before I move on to something else about that, it does generally come, even though it might sometimes seem like it's slow to begin with or frustrating. I recall there was someone on one of the quite recent courses who she had gone through, and at a couple of points during the course, and different people were talking about different things, at a couple of points she expressed how she wasn't experiencing this. She was enjoying the practice and she was feeling good, and she felt like it was benefiting her, but she wasn't experiencing some of the aspects of her energy the same way that other people were. And at a couple of different points we discussed this, and I reassured her and that sort of thing. And then I think it was the second to last week of the course, she said, I could feel my energy, and she gets it now, and fantastic. And for some people it may, generally within the space of one of the courses we do, people will start to experience different things. For some people it may even take longer, and that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, so why do I emphasize that so much? Why do I think it's so important? For one thing, it makes your practice much richer. If you're engaging properly with your energy, if you're really aware of it, you're able to steer yourself more effectively. You can actually work with your energy much better if you have an awareness of it, like a real awareness, not just a conceptual idea, but you're actually aware of it. And it will also help you to have a correct understanding of what you're doing. One of the problems with theory, and to this I'd add dogma, theory, dogma, belief, is that you might have the wrong understanding of what that even means. Or the theory, the dogma may be wrong. That's not quite the same thing, because you could have a theory which is correct in a sense, but you have the wrong understanding of what that means. You haven't quite grasped it, and so you think it means this, but it actually means this. Or you may have a theory that someone has put together, but it's actually just not right. And if you operate on the basis of that theory, well, that's going to lead you off maybe into something that's harmful, that would be sort of worst case scenario, or certainly lead you off away from actually experiencing what is real. And so theory, dogma, well, not so much dogma. So dogma implies that you're holding on to it too strongly. But theory plays a really valuable role in helping to point your direction to your attention towards something so that you can experience it for yourself. But if you don't add that next step of experiencing it for yourself, perceiving it for yourself, observing it for yourself, you don't actually know if you have been looking in the right direction, because again, the theory may be wrong, or you may have misunderstood it. And unfortunately, it's all too common with some of these. Qigong is quite in some ways it's a subtle practice. I paused there, you notice, because for some people some of this will come very quickly. It's not necessarily that subtle depending on your current way of thinking, the way that your senses are attuned. Sometimes it becomes obvious very quickly, but for many people it's not so obvious so quickly. And it will take a little bit of shifting the way you think about some things and fine-tuning your senses to be able to really connect with it. And because of that, a lot of people operate, unfortunately, almost purely in the area of theory, where they go, maybe here's a theory someone else has said. Don't really know if it's true or not. And then I'll add my own theory on top of that. Then I'll add another theory on top of that. And so they're headed off in this direction with their theory. But maybe in actuality, things actually head over here. But they're just theory, because they haven't connected it to direct observation. So direct observation anchors theory. It makes sure it's real. It makes sure you don't get too far off track. The theory still plays an important role, though, again, to direct your awareness, towards what you can find, to make use of other people's experience, to give you a framework when you haven't had that experience yourself, to be able to help you through more quickly, to help you to progress and actually gain that direct experience for yourself more quickly. Because equally, there can be a problem of people just throwing all theory out and just purely on their own experience. And then they don't really have a way of navigating. And so they might get stuck over here when they could make a lot more progress if they essentially had a map. A theory gives you a map. And you might think you're at in a dead end, or you've seen all there is to see, but it's hang on, the map tells you there's something around the corner and you can go further and, there's more for you to discover. So there's nothing wrong with having belief, even faith, and working with theory, with a belief, a faith that there is something to discover, but that's just a starting point. If that's all you have, then who knows if you're just deluding yourself or not. But that starting point is quite valuable until you then start to have your own direct experience. And then, to maybe carry on an analogy, when you have your own experience of a part of a theory, that can be a little bit like wiping some of the dust off so that you can now see even more of the theory and what it means and more of the map. And so, or you know, if you're finding your way through, you know, a piece of land, it's like turning on a light so you can now see a little bit further, which you then might not be able to see everything clearly, but by then exploring further, now you have a direct experience of that too. Boom, you turn on another light. You can now explore another bit further. Some more of the theory makes more sense to you, and you can go further and further and further and further. So, yeah, there's a place for theory, absolutely, but we need to really make sure we're always connecting that to our own direct observation to make sure that we're actually on the right track, that we're actually doing something real rather than something where we might be, you know, deluding ourselves. Because, you know, we are working with things that for many people are quite subtle, quite nuanced, require quite a bit of fine-tuning of our senses to really connect with. Hopefully that's interesting for someone. I look forward to seeing you on another vlog soon.